like a surprise to me. Washington Wizards. Um, should I use the word dispose for? You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Russell Westbrook. He was there last season, but what they've been able to do without him this season, it seems like they were not able to do it while he was there. On top of the standings, right now, it seems like everything is going well for them. But would you say is bad? Is it good riddance to what did I call it again? I need to hear your opinion about that.
Um, well, definitely. When you have two, primary ball handlers on your team, with last year with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, these are two good scorers, but I don't think that they gel together. I don't think Russell Westbrook gels with any other primary ball handler. I think that Russell Westbrook has to only be, with shooters, which is why he was able to drag his team in 2017, to the playoffs. And in 2018, he didn't play very well, especially in the playoffs, against the Utah Jazz with a rookie Donovan Mitchell, and they sent them home. So, they sent them home. They sent a Oklahoma City Thunder team that had Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul George. They sent that team home, but the next year, you start to see a trend, and in that 2019 season, Paul George had an MVP season because he was, the guy who was the primary ball handler instead of Russell Westbrook. So I think that in terms of, a shooting guard who is very, who is a ball handler, I think that when you eliminate Russell Westbrook from your team, you're gonna have, time to work with. You're gonna have, a point guard who can shoot the ball, and you're gonna have, players who can open up for you to score as well in isolation plays. So definitely it's improved their record. They have a catch and shoot guy. They acquired Kyle Kuzma. They even the Lakers also, disposed of him, as well last season. So, he's been playing very well as well for them. And, it's been very impressive to see him how he's playing. And, he's been shutting the critics up.
Talking about Lakers, you just brought up one very important point there. Talked about the players that were disposed last season. Just talked about Kyle Kuzma. We talked about Dennis Schroeder, who is having a good season with Boston Celtic. We also talk about Caruso. Caruso is not doing bad either, with the Chicago Bulls, third. They're third in the Eastern Conference. So it seems like they're having a better time away from the LA Lakers. But in reverse, when you look at LA Lakers season, it seems like all the players the players they brought in, they are not working really well. Talked about Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony. These guys are not actually fitting into the team. So, what's your take on that?
Well, I think that they eliminated one of their best players as well. They eliminated a guy in Dennis Schroeder, as we mentioned earlier in the show. He's a guy who he's very good on defense, and he's been that defensive anchor. And we've talked about how Russell Westbrook, isn't, an elite defender on the level of, a guy like Dennis Schroeder. We also talked about, how Caruso can also supply, supply 3-pointers as well for your team. They've scrapped a lot of guys from their team. They've scrapped guys like Lonzo Ball, who's also on the Chicago Bulls. They've scrapped Caruso. They've scrapped all these guys and Dennis Schroeder, and they've been proving, that they can play very well. They can, be efficient players on different teams, and they also fulfill their role. Something that I think that some players on the Lakers haven't been able to do this season.